Happy February. We are here. It is time for another episode. How are we doing today, Mandy?
Hi, everybody. We're doing awesome. I am feeling really happy right now, despite the rain, the gloom, the weird California atmospheric river they say we're getting, which I haven't experienced yet, but I'm feeling great. How are you feeling, Amani? What's going on in Las Vegas with you right now?
So the rain here in Vegas is raining not too hard, so it's pretty light here. But we get like the after effects of what's coming east from California, so it's not too bad here. I must compliment you, Mandy. Your lighting is like chef's kiss. Good job.
Thank you. I know you've been really pushing me on my lighting. I appreciate that about you. But I have to tell you the reason what really pushed me into gear for this lighting is, and also shout out to Corbin Bravo, our editor, our video editor for Adventures in Business and Adventures in Your Meeting Live, who also, in addition to you pushing me on the lighting, was like, Mandy, here's exactly what you need to do. But the reason I did this was my very first Sales Tales Live public session is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's sold out, which this is the first time I've ever done it. It's
Congrats.
something I've always wanted to do. I had no idea how to do, but I asked for some help from some people, and they gave me some great advice. And now my first public sales coaching session, all tickets are sold out for tomorrow. So one of the things Corbin had said is, okay, if we're doing this public session and you're going to be repurposing some of it, I really need you to fix your lighting.
Yeah.
And so I've been playing with lighting all weekend. So thank you, Amani. I appreciate it.
I must say hello to some people in the chat. And I gotta hopefully I say your name right. Is it Sina Hansen? Let me know if I said that right in the chat. Hello. Vicky Meldrum's here with us. Alex Evans is here. Heather Schatz, I believe, is here. Let me know if I say all your names correctly. Thank you for joining us live. If you have questions for us or our guests, put them in the chat. This is an interactive show. What should we do next? Let's kind of get to our guests because we have lots of questions and we have lots of stories. So talk to us about our guests.
Stories and questions. So we have a woman who walks the walk at lifting others up. And if you want a creative, cool experience that you've never seen before, you have to call Erika. When I talk to Erika Brunke, I am not only uplifted as a human, but I am motivated and inspired because the events that she's done in the past, the events that are rolling around in her mind, there is no end to the creative and interesting and high touch, high service experience that just sits at the top of her mind. It is effortless. And I've had the honor of knowing her for many years, and she's done it all. She's run the top tech events for SEMA, Google, Apple. She's done a bunch of work with I Am Remarkable, which is a great program. And then over the past year, she left the corporate world
Mhm.
and started her own business. And I'm super excited to bring
Yeah.
her to the team today and chat with Erika Brunke, my friend Erika Brunke.
All right, here we are. Round of applause. All right.
Hi, welcome, Erika.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends.
Hi.
How are you?
We're doing
We're
well.
good.
How
We're
are you
good.
doing today? Let's start off by asking you this question. I usually say this is my last question, but we're going to get right to it today.
Oh,
We're going to
wow.
go back and talk to 21-year-old Erica back when she was at Oregon. She was at University of Oregon, and
I was.
give her advice based on what you know now. What advice would you ask for your younger self?
Well, there's a long list that falls into several categories, but I would say when I was kind of thinking about what we were going to chat about today, I think that cultivating your network 365 days a year is probably the top piece of advice I would give myself.
Okay. So to follow up with that, what are some best practices for people who are watching that might not be good at cultivating a network 365 days a year? What are some best practices that you have experienced success with?
Well, I always love to say that I practice grit, grace, and gratitude. Those are kind of, if
Mm.
I get another tattoo, that's what it's going to say, grit, grace, and gratitude.
Ooh,
But
pictures of good grace and
I
gratitude. I love
know that, yeah, I know that often, you like, how do I even start or how do I reach out to people? I just really literally think about when someone tells you something about their life, a birthday, a family memory, something, jot it on your calendar that day. Just reach out to them. Hey, remember that it was your mom's 80th birthday. I build the network, like, and it always is good for business, but it's really about human touch, human connection.
Okay. All
But
right.
don't think of, don't not think about it. Try to just reach out to one person a day.
And I think, Erica, you said something to me one time that really resonated where, and I think this is part of one of your many zones of genius is, don't make that transactional. It's like nobody
Mm.
wants that email from somebody that they haven't talked to in 3 years because they need something right away. But if you've been engaging with them over those 3 years, then yeah, let's figure out how to collaborate. So can you touch about like what not to do in that circumstance? Because I feel like you've seen it all. You've seen the goods and you've seen the bads.
I have. I mean, it's a pet peeve of mine for sure. Just the, not hearing from people for years and then they're in a new role and they need your business or they are out of their role and, want you to find them a job. I am always want to lift others. And, but that really is that's, I won't swear because I know it embarrasses Amani. Um, it really bugs me. And it's just, I think if people really think about it, they would feel the same way. It's just, again, keep authentic connections always going so that it's not like you're like, oh, one day I may need Mandy to get me a job. So I'm going to stay close with her so she can get me a job one day. No, I'm curious about Mandy's business. I want to see her successful. How can we collaborate together? And when I do ask people for favors, one of a great line that Guy Kawasaki taught me was, I look forward to returning the favor.
Mm, I like
Mm,
that. That's
I
good.
like
Shout
that
out to
too.
Tom Griggs in the audience. Hello, Tom. Thank you
Oh,
for
hey,
joining us.
Tom.
Now we want to go back. Usually Mandy takes us back to the beginning. You want to take us back to the beginning, Mandy?
Wayback Machine. Let's do
Yes.
it. Let's do
Yes. Go ahead.
let's do the Erica Wayback Machine in the form of an introduction because my real question I want to ask is you made a big leap recently to start your own business. You left a corporate job for a Fortune 100, a Fortune 10 company and came over to freelance and running your business. So before we get to that meaty, delicious question, I want to go to the Wayback Machine of where did you start in the events business and how did you traverse through the events business over the years?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I knew early on that I loved doing events. So did my parents when I hosted several parties during high school that were highly organized. One
Mm.
time I even had invitations that had numbers on them because it was invitation only. And I was afraid people were going to photocopy them. So each one had a number on it. That was in high school. So I knew I was going down the path.
Okay.
We also put away all my mom's really fragile things, but took Polaroid pictures so I would know where to put them back.
Hey,
So
well done. Well
very
done.
early on in high school.
Yeah.
If my kids are listening, I'm in trouble. So yeah, started very traditional trade show manager for a company called Autodesk in Northern California. Was there for 4 years. You know, that first job, I think for most people is just how you dig in. I was like always on the road, trade show to trade show, but knew that I loved the industry. Um, Also, that's when I was introduced to SEMA. I remember, so that would have been in '92. I was at the exhibitor show, and the Microsoft and Apple teams had a button on that said, "Ask me about SEMA," and I sure did, and became a member. And 2 years later, on the beach in San Diego, Coronado Island, I interviewed for a job at Microsoft and got the job. And that was my next move after Autodesk. I went to Seattle and was in, again, kind of focused on trade shows. Just brought me back to my some time at Apple back in California. And I went to a couple of amazing startups and then had the privilege to come on as executive director for SEMA for 5 years, working very closely with Olga Rosenbrook, who is like my ride or
Mm,
die. Um,
we love Olga.
and yes. So, member since '92 and then executive director for 5 years, still very much believe in it. And again, if you can be in an association that really is close to your network, I think that's also been part of the success in networking for me, is having that at least yearly touch base for SEMA Summit to stay connected with people and meet new people. I remember when I was really young, I had like stars in my eyes over, some of the team at Microsoft and God, Lisa Busby. I don't know if those of you know Lisa Busby was just, she was at Symantec at the time. She was SEMA Summit president. And I was like, God, one day I just want to be like Lisa Busby. So
Aw.
it was just a great opportunity to be mentored by, folks in that association. So went back to Apple in 2010, was just an exceptional choice. Was there for about 8 years as head of global events and working on Worldwide Developer Conference. Had the opportunity to travel with our CEO, which was just the joy of a lifetime. And then ended my corporate side of my career at Google, first by opening an experience center, which some of you I think that I've invited on today got to tour, and then finishing up with Google Cloud. But it was time. I always knew I wanted to freelance towards the end of my career. Um, and I was in a point in that role that I just was languishing. It wasn't bringing me joy. The only reason I was staying was paycheck,
Mm.
benefits, and stock, and that is a real not great place to be. So a couple of things happened. I sort of coincided with the SEMA Summit in Nashville. I had the privilege of hearing Judy Holler speak,
Oh.
who fears my homeboy, and
Mhm.
I sat in that audience in almost in tears. She is talking directly to me. One of the
Mm,
things she had said was old keys won't open new doors. And I really
mhm.
thought about that. And she talked a lot about facing self doubt, because I thought to myself, what if I step away and I don't get any projects? Yay,
Fear my
Amani.
homeboy. Amani is Judy's
There's the
homeboy.
book.
They're buddies. Yeah.
Yes.
She is just incredible. So it really kind of got me thinking. I was surrounded by my network. I got to kind of lean on a couple of friends there, and came home and spoke to probably the people who would impact the most, my husband and my financial planner. And we sort of set this in motion, um, to go into freelance as a career choice.
So
Wow.
what was your I think a lot of people sit in this situation right now, right? They're making a consistent paycheck, they know what to expect, and but they've got this tickle of something else they want to do. So what was aside, let's just put paycheck aside for a second because we all assume that.
Mhm.
What was your biggest concern about going freelance that might not be a concern for you now, where you're like, why was I ever worried about that?
I think just self doubt and imposter syndrome that we all carry at some level. People were telling me, you won't have any problem. You're really well known in the industry. You're super connected. Um, and I have to say, it was a lesson. There were people that I really thought would be sort of early clients of mine, that didn't come to fruition. But then I had some really amazing new contacts, new colleagues, especially one company that really put their trust in me to work with their VIPs. I'd love to give them a shout out. Atlassian, I came on with them over a year ago. With Angie Smith at the time, now with Amy Walters, and allowed me to, come on and be a part of their team. And I feel completely ingrained with their culture, but also with the flexibility to do some other projects outside of Atlassian. So it was a real gift to have that trust in them, and it's a culture like I've never seen before. For those of you who've seen, any of the Atlassian teams speak at SEMA Summit or on other things, what you see is what you get, and how they're speaking about their colleagues and empathy and respect and trust at those sessions is exactly what is happening behind the curtain. And it's just inspiring to see. So
Amazing.
I'm really grateful for them. And that was not something that had been on my radar. So that was kind of an interesting, event to happen to me, because then it allowed me to kind of take on other smaller projects as they came, but have this sort of regular focus and projects. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. But I would say, we really, really cast a wide net, because if there's people that you were like, oh, for sure, I'll get a project from them, may not actually happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple follow-ups. So you mentioned Judy Holler and how she said old keys won't open new doors, which I love that phrase. It's so ironic that I was working with Calendly this past week in Palm Springs, and I was DJing and emceeing their whole program. Judy was there as a guest speaker, and I missed her. I did not know she was there as a breakout speaker. So that was our, so we just missed each other. So bummer there. But she's a big fan. She's been on the podcast. 99 out of 100 people will not have the courage to go freelance. Like, you talk about it and we plan it, but then we don't take action. How were you able to muster the courage to really go for it?
As I said, I was really languishing in my role, and not doing, mental health, physical health, which is not great. And I had moved to Austin about 6 months prior. So I was in a place that was really bringing me joy, and it was just time. I just was like, I have to do it. I was fortunate as well. I was able to sort of start to discuss this plan with people while still closing out my role. So that gave me a little bit of a leeway there, because it took also a little bit longer than I had hoped. But I guess at the end of the day, I mean, we know we don't want to always talk about paycheck, but with my financial planner, I had a backup plan. So I knew that at the end of the day, I would be able to support my family, and just having that. And not everyone has that, though. Some people, get into freelance because they've lost their role, and I'm totally sensitive to that. I guess one of my piece of advice would be, if you're going on this journey, to be really transparent with your clients about whether or not you're choosing this as your career, freelance as a career, or if you're using it as a bridge to help until you find your next opportunity. In all fairness, sharing that with your clients, being transparent, so that you're putting yourself in the best position, and you're putting your client in a great position, that they're not going to lose you mid-program should you find something that is a better fit for you, if you want to continue in a more of a corporate or full-time role.
Okay. Now, when you're looking at your current kind of world where you're working and growing in, what would maybe be 2 or 3 of the most valuable lessons you learned from Google and Apple that you have transferred over to your current kind of career?
Boy, great question. Let's see, 2 or 3. If I like, see if I can narrow it down.
You can start with
I would say I had the opportunity at Google to actually take some. They have a wonderful training development program, which 2 parts. One was about precise language, and it really spoke about when you're using words to ensure that they're precise, whether it be about really anything, race, world affairs. Be really mindful and be precise in your language. And that, from a just general learning standpoint, was something I really took away. Also, being at Google is when I was introduced to I Am Remarkable. So that was a tremendous value. I had a wonderful manager, president, that hired me on to build the Grove, this experience center. And being able to work with the design teams there was just so inspiring. It's not work that I'd ever done before. And the space that we created was just something I'm very, very proud of. It's
It's so
basically,
beautiful.
um,
So beautiful.
a
It's
briefing center,
beautiful.
but for up to
Yeah.
300 people. We had a theater, but it was all very themed in my like classy, authentic way. So I was very, very proud of that work. Google's really spread out as a company, and so I just, leaned in on my project there and loved it, working there. And with Apple, gosh, let me think. Small teams can do mighty things because for the
Mm.
most part of my time there was 8 of us in corporate events with agencies other than our private production company and a labor company. And our team of 8, which I'm still close to many of them, the things that we accomplished were just incredible. And just through the trust and expertise and being pushed to the absolute limit. I mean, there's nothing like looking out your hotel room window and seeing 40 satellite trucks from news stations that are going to be broadcasting this next product that the world is waiting for. And, I'm calling doors or I'm seating the VIPs in the front row. There is zero room for error. I remember one time at Worldwide Developer Conference, we had gone back to San Jose in 2017, and we did rigorous rehearsals of how we were going to load the hall because all 6,000 guests were coming in the main keynote hall. And we just had mistimed it by 1 minute. And we wanted to make sure everyone was in the space before Tim took stage. And so I had to say to backstage, we're going to go 1 minute late. And it was like not okay because that's how precise they are. And, they're ready to do this live stream, and it all worked out fine. And all the developers were in the room, which was what ultimately at the end of the day was what was most important for that. But yeah, just small teams can do mighty things.
Ugh, I love that. I just wrote that. I can't stop writing. You're giving me so many nuggets of things to write down. So I want to go back to I am remarkable because I want to ask you to define it and then ask you how it shows up for you in your life. Because I was lucky enough, Erika introduced this I am remarkable program to some people. And I was lucky enough to go through a really mini version of it with her. And it is, I felt like it was very life changing. And then you took the initiative to create different like mini micro I am remarkable groups. So can you just explain what is I am remarkable? Where does it come from? And then how you just have spun off with it? Because it's really, really special.
Yeah, so I Am Remarkable is a global movement that empowers everyone to celebrate their achievements in the workplace and beyond. It was started within Google, which is why I was introduced to it. Actually, in the last 6 months, they've spun off and are their own complete organization. So for those of
Awesome.
you
I
who've
didn't
been in
realize
the
that.
past, make sure to get to the new Amani, I think is going to drop the chat in their new site. But it was during COVID when I got really introduced to it and participated in a workshop and just was blown away. It's about, sort of addressing self-doubt. When you go into an interview, you are very prepared to speak about yourself, speak about your accomplishments, no problem. Why don't you show up that same way in your one-on-one every week with your manager? What's the difference? And so one of the themes from I Am Remarkable that just, landed with me and why I became a facilitator was that it's not bragging if it's based on facts. So when you're, within work and you're promoting, the work that you've done, I know all of us are great at promoting our teams, and I feel like I was pretty good at that. But I did definitely have a harder time going in and promoting myself, talking about the work I did. And I always assumed that my great work would just make a name for itself. And in some companies, that's just not how performance reviews and recognition work. And if you're not out really talking about your accomplishments, you're going to fall behind. So
So,
I was able to do this workshop, gosh, so many times over COVID. We did 3 for SEMA. Mandy, believe it or not, it's been almost 2 years no, been 3 years since we have done that session for SEMA. So
Wow.
online, it's a group of 20 people who participate in a 90-minute workshop. There is some sharing out, and I learn more from the attendees every workshop than anything. And it's just a vulnerability. I have some comments that people have made that I have one, I won't mention her name, but I had asked her previously if I could share this. There's a part where you do an exercise and for 10 minutes you write, I am remarkable because, and then you do a share out if you feel comfortable. And she shared out that everything that makes her remarkable is things she does for other people, not for herself.
Mm.
And it was an
Mhm.
aha moment, and we've stayed in touch, and I just, kind of keep in touch with her. But it's really, it's an incredible session. So I am a facilitator. There's a worldwide group of facilitators, and it's no longer aligned specifically within Google. So anyone can become a facilitator. Anyone can lean in on the workshop. And so definitely open to, if you have a group that you'd like me to do a workshop for, or want more information, please drop me a note on LinkedIn, because it's a really powerful, and I drew from it as well. Amani, you were asking, like, when I went to make this
Mhm.
decision, I drew
Yeah.
on I Am Remarkable as well, because it is a practice. You have to practice self-promotion and kind of alleviating self-doubt.
Interesting.
And I think there's two really powerful things that I got through you facilitating this I Am Remarkable class. And the one, it truly is taking 10 minutes to write I am remarkable because I am remarkable because it felt like the longest 10 minutes of my life. But I also realized there's a whole bunch of stuff I was remarkable. I mean, I was crying during that. And I think probably other people have told you that, like, you're writing why you're remarkable and you're like, oh my God, like I was just so annoyed about something so stupid 20 minutes ago. And here I
Mhm.
am in the midst of this 10-minute I am remarkable because, and it made me feel like, God, kids should do this, grown-ups should do this. Like,
Mhm.
it's so much better than a gratitude journal. So to me, that was very powerful. I'm so grateful that you selected me to go through that, because it changed me for sure. That was one piece. But the other thing that I think you did that was so beautiful, and Erika, if you want to elaborate on this, that would be super sweet, is Erika is such a badass. Sorry, Monty, I swore, but is such a badass that she took this I Am Remarkable. She cultivated a group of women where once a week on Wednesdays, the subject line was I Am Remarkable. And we all shared, why were we remarkable, just with that week. And I think that might have been 2020 or 2021. It might have been before the SEMA summit, because or
Mhm.
2021. I don't remember, but it was a time frame where none of us really felt that remarkable. And it was an
Right.
opportunity for us to share why we're remarkable that week, because every week was a new
Mhm.
week. And it was that cultivating your network 365 days a
Mhm.
year. And it was a community. So do you want to share a little bit about that? Because I learned from you the consistency of spreading positivity and the consistency of learning how to brag about yourself in a factual way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that means so much to you. That means a
It
lot to
means
me.
so much to me.
One of sort of the practices is, we called it Remarkable Wednesday. And so through the groups of 20 or so that I would be on, in a cohort for a workshop, we would maintain that relationship, and people could certainly opt out if they didn't want to participate that week or at all. But just a reminder of sharing out, because you have to practice to keep this going. And yeah, we did it for a whole year. And people, the thing with this also, when you do the practice in the workshop, it can be personal or professional. So we got equal amounts of, I'm remarkable because I got my kids off to school and did an 8 a.m. meeting and still made dinner and got to football practice in the afternoon. So, sometimes it's the days are just more about what you can take. You're giving 100%. That's all you can do. So that was really interesting and kept us bonded, I feel like, and did that with many of the groups. But I just got my reminder, yeah, that it's been a couple of years since we kicked this off. I believe it was in 2021 that we started this, that I started on my I Am Remarkable journey, and have
Mhm.
had the pleasure of doing so many online classes, a couple of in-person classes, and then one time at SEMA Summit during lunch, which it's interesting. One of our colleagues that we're close with took out her piece of paper that she had written in 2021 to show me that she had kept that original piece of paper from her first one, and then was going through it again, because to also look
Mm.
back and think, boy, that was really a challenge for me, and look how I've overcome it now.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to say hello to Megan Hinshaw in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Heather Schatz, who also
Aw,
says,
Megan,
it is an amazing
Heather.
program. Lucky enough to have Erika as my workshop leader. Then
Mm.
Olga Rosenbrook says, I'm remarkable is truly life changing and that you are
Oh,
amazing. My follow-up question to Mandy's question, your story is, if we were to ask you today, right now, like, why are you remarkable? How would you answer?
Because I stepped away from corporate and last year, based purely on freelance, was able to support my family 100% and not go to my financial planner.
That's awesome.
That
I'm gonna
deserves,
hang.
hold on, that deserves some.
Oh, yay! Good job. I
Go
want to
ahead,
hang
Mandy.
here because you talked, you've said family, I think now 11 times, which I love because as long as I've known you, there, you're even from the road, you're trying to figure out your boys to get in the right, the right soccer uniform when they were little kids. And you made certain moves. Your family's important, whether it's your parents or your husband or your boys, your sons. So and I know they're grown, they're adults now, but when I met you, they were little boys. So how has family played a role for you in this with all the success that you've had? And what advice do you have for people out there, working parents trying to make sense of it all?
Well, I am the proud mom of 2 boys, and I have an incredible husband, Jim, a sweet dog, Gibson, and a ton of deer on our 5 acres outside of Austin. So that's my world right now. My youngest son just turned 25 yesterday. We celebrated as a family over the weekend. Fun fact, they are actually both in the events industry, one with Freeman and one with Encore. So the family business is alive and well. I used to struggle when they were young about traveling. I traveled a lot and we started little, routines of, how many sleeps are left. This was well before FaceTime. So, calling in and things. And also, like, to be honest, when you're at the beginning of your career, there's not a lot of telling your management, your leadership, oh, I can't go to that because I have something with my kids or my family. So that was certainly a struggle that I don't think any mom feels they're giving 100% to their job and 100% to their kids. So that's a challenge. My kids lived out of the state that I was in while they were in high school and middle school, but thankfully Apple supported me and I flew every couple of weeks out to Ohio to spend the weekend with them. And so I was incredibly grateful for that. But they both now live in Dallas and seem no worse for the wear that I traveled and must have left them something in the love of events industry to continue on, this journey and understand, what a road show's like and things. But I think there isn't a parent in the world, mom, dad, regardless, caregiver that doesn't feel that they're giving 100% to all components of their life. And to be honest, one of the benefits that has truly come out of this freelance is in the fall when I had made that decision and had stepped away from my corporate role, had 3 distinct sort of family friend um, needs and was able to show up for them in a way I would have never been able to show up had I been in corporate. And I look back thinking that's how I know it was the right time for me to step away because I would not have been available in specifically October of that year to be able to be present, truly present, and give them time and energy and all of me.
Ah,
So
so beautiful.
as we're listening to you talk, you also have ventured and moved to a new city. So you moved to Austin. You then went freelance. How have you been able to adjust to a new city and still remain as productive and as happy as you are?
Amani's asking
Well,
for
and my
himself.
husband
I can
retired
tell.
also.
This is
Asking for a friend?
asking
Yes,
for a friend
for a
from
friend.
Amani. Yeah. Who just did the same
Yeah, my
thing.
husband also retired at the same time,
Oh,
so that's just a
wow.
whole other dynamic that we shifted through. Um, yeah, not easy. So
Mm.
moved within like a 4-week notice of like getting the role. I was still at Google when I moved and to Austin area, so we're about an hour north of Austin in a small town called Salado, which is lovely. And so was working, with Google during that time. So it wasn't like thankfully right on top of each other, but now the distributed workforce is just everywhere. So that wasn't as much of a concern. And what's even more interesting, another shout out to my Atlassian folks, they are a work from anywhere company. They will continue to be. They're not coming back to the office. They have offices if you want to go to, but the tools that they make are software for teams, and they're so well done and the company uses them. And I've never seen more seamless work from around the world and around the time zones than I have with them. And so it doesn't feel like I get to travel still. I see my network, I go to my events, and I get to come back to my peaceful paradise with my husband.
Yes. Yes. Great. Go ahead, Mandy. I see you got
I know,
another
I got
one.
it, I got it, I got it. Well, I want to talk about how the sausage is made for a second because it would be silly if we didn't ask you some white glove, high touch VIP event experience questions because I truly believe you are one of the best in the business. I've seen you demand soft seating in a front of a room. I've seen you put together a winter wonderland sleigh ride when there were no sleighs to be had. Like I've seen your genius in action. So how does that work? What does that process look like when you are sitting with a client? They're hiring you for a high end an event experience. They want everybody to feel special. You want the service to be there, but they don't quite know what they want. And then you've got all your great ideas rolling around. Like, what does that service experience look like from zero to here we are day of producing something magical? Like what is your process? How do you walk through that with them?
So, really, it's one word, and that's anticipation. I
Mm,
think about every possible scenario that a VIP or executive individually or as a group might need. I mean, no detail is too small. With an executive, I've carried extra dress shirts in my bag in case when we're at a dinner event, in case they spill on their shirt and need to change before, they have to get back up on stage. Like, think of every scenario to be prepared for because that's really where it comes into play, really just
Mhm.
that anticipation. Also, and just again, sort of how I cultivate my network, also finding out, is it a special day for you? I've had people, execs, be on a show floor and it's their anniversary and they've brought their spouse, and can we do something excellent in terms of content? Also, just truly understanding what is most important. And execs don't want to be, they want to be able to talk to their peers. So if you can create that connection, they want to be, anyone wants to be comfortable. Is there Wi-Fi? Is there hot coffee? Is there soft seating? Is there good light? Just think of every possible scenario that someone could want for. I even find, like, when I'm sitting, an experience myself, I'll be like, this is a crazy example. I don't know why this first thing came to my head. I was at an incredible fam trip, and they happened to be in Las Vegas. So the last morning they were doing IV treatments for folks after a long night out. And we were sitting there and it was freezing. It was in sort of a top floor rooftop lounge that is only used in the evening. So the heat's not on during the day, and we were freezing. And I thought to myself, note to self, if you do something like this, bring blankets so people can curl up with a blanket while they're having this treatment. And
Mhm.
everything seems very small in the weeds, but when you add them all up, it just makes for a much better experience. It's
So
not always about like the flash, the high,
mhm.
what's most expensive, what's most outrageous. It is about comfort and anticipation.
yes.
I
Yeah, I
think,
think we forget that. We forget that
yeah,
because we look for the flash, but comfort,
yes.
being out of your zone is uncomfortable, but
It,
anticipating how to make people comfortable is a high level of service. That's
Mhm.
it
really
is.
compelling.
We have a family member in the audience, I believe. Duke says, never have to get ready if you stay ready. So
Oh,
Well,
thank you for tuning in. So, Erica, Mandy and I
thanks,
have,
Duke.
yeah, yes. Mandy and I have this product that we're trying to kind of promote and get out there a little more. It's called Adventures in Your Business Live. It's just what we're doing here with you, but on a live convention floor or for a
Mm.
specific client. Based on what you've experienced so far and what you know about what we do, what advice would you have for us to kind of attract people and get people to try it out to kind of hire us based on your experience and what you've seen
Oh,
so far?
Amani's going for it.
I guess also with, when we look at these VIP and executive experiences, what is like new? So again, not super, doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be flashy. Um, what is something that they have not experienced before? So when I look at venues for people, we're going back to Las Vegas for this event. We're doing a sea level there's a million great restaurants there. They've probably been to all of them. They've been wined and dined. Why don't we go to the Sphere? Can we have something at the Formula One paddock that is really interesting and compelling? So I think if this is, sounds, new concept, obviously, but what can make it fun and memorable is going to be the biggest message that you can give to someone about having you join. And they don't know how fun you guys are. So that's, make
There
sure
you
you're
go.
showing your fun.
Okay. Good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, and I want to kind of hang there with this events world for a minute, because Adventures in Your Meeting Live is something we are doing, and it is fun, but it is something we're educating people on. And there are things that are new to the market, but there's also time honored traditions that some hotels and venues are still just missing right now. So if you could wave a magic wand over all of the venues and all of the hotels and all of the meeting service providers out there, and fix just one thing that you think is broken in the events world, what would you do? Where would you send your magic wand? It doesn't even have to be a big
So
thing.
slightly off topic. This is one of my tiny little things for hotels. Love when you send an amenity to my room. I appreciate it. I'm grateful. The card means the most to me. Please don't send seafood, fish, perishables to my room uncovered at a time that I don't know when they were delivered. Not a great surprise when you get home. So you can leave a dome on it, leave saran wrap on it, put it in my refrigerator, put a time on it, whatever you need to do. But I feel bad not enjoying my amenity because I'm unsure of food safety.
Yeah.
I think for the overall, and what I find, and one of the reasons I love doing programs in Las Vegas, is the high level of service. I need to know at a hotel that I have a person who can make decisions, is knowledgeable about the property. When they say yes, it's a yes, so that my job's easier and it's making my job easier for my client. It's fine if you don't know the answer, say, I don't know, and I'm going to get you the answer. But there's been times when we're well down the planning cycle and they're like, oh, I don't know who told you could do that, because there's already a lot of turnover. I mean, Randy and I, we just went through this, a salesperson from the hotel, so now we're with a new salesperson. Just that the level of hospitality or the expertise they're giving me in the hospitality that they're able to give to my customers, for sure. That's far and across the board. And I know hotels are still struggling, businesses are still struggling after COVID. My fingers are crossed that this is going to be the ending excuse at some point. But it's still, do the right thing, have the right people working with your clients.
And I think that's good advice. It's not even just for hotels. It's for your kids that work at Freeman and Encore. It's for those of us that use DMCs. It's that transportation company. It's the invitation company. It's every level of like, what is your product knowledge? What is your service level of that product knowledge? So I appreciate that wand. Thank you for waving that.
Thank you for waving the wand. Now we have a different wand we want you to wave. We've come to the point of the show where we flip the script and you can ask both Mandy and myself a question. So any question is in bounds. Nothing is out of bounds or off limits. Who do you want to ask the question to first, and what is that question?
Well, I'm going to ask you both because I have no idea how the two of you met.
Mandy, I love how you tell the story. Go ahead.
So Amani was a very fancy president of MPI Southern California a couple years ago, back in 2020, Amani, or 2021?
2021 and 2022.
2021. And we were on a committee where it was the annual education conference, right? Like Northern California has ACE and Southern California has WeCon. And we were just on the committee. We met there, but I had just been interviewed on a LinkedIn Live and they were trying to promote registration. And I was like, why don't we just do a LinkedIn Live? And they were like, great idea, Mandy, go for it. I'm like, well, that's not how this works. And Amani, who is a DJ and he has a bazillion followers on Twitch, like he knows how to do live streams. So he's like, I'll do it. So he and I partnered up and it was once a week for 10 minutes. And we did it once a week for 4 weeks or 5 weeks leading up to the conference, where one week we announced the general session, another week we announced the philanthropy, another week we announced the offsite venue. So we were building momentum for the conference. And now we've been doing it for the chapter every year since. So, that was only 5 weeks. And once that ended, we were like, well, that was fun. Now what do we do? And then we came up with this idea to start Adventures in Business Life. So basically we could just keep working together. And
Right.
2 years later, we've been doing it ever since. So it started with a live stream to promote a conference, and we've been working together on it ever since.
Yes. That's how
So
it is.
what I love about that is it speaks to community and network
Mhm.
and association. You would never have met
Yeah.
unless you were involved in those associations.
You're totally right. We never would have met if we weren't involved in or volunteering time, like giving back time, showing up, just like you said earlier. You gotta show up and participate. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, did you have another question you wanted to ask us, or was that your one?
Sure. Oh, I got a whole list.
Okay, go for it. You're the guest. Take over, Erika.
You let me know when we're at time. Amani, I'll go. Would you love to do both? But we're going to start with Amani. Very short and quick. A goal you have for 2024.
The biggest goal I have is to release my second book and to improve my sleeping. So I'll give you personal, professional.
Well, we should have a whole thing about the sleep.
Yes, we should.
LinkedIn Live about sleep, please. Mandy, goal for 2024.
Ooh, I've got a lot of goals for 2024, but my biggest goal is I don't turn 20 anything. I turn 50 next year. I turn 50 in 2025. So my goal for 2024 is to prime the pump, because when I turn 50 on August 9th, 2025, I want to be in the best shape of my life, and not like physical shape. Like I just want like heart, health, mind, spirit, body to be best shape, but that doesn't come overnight. So 2024 is me priming the pump, getting that ready to go. Because one of the things I want to do for my 2025, in 2025, is I want to ride a portion of the Tour de France route, not obviously with Tour de France, but like a part of the route with somebody that's done it before, and ride 30 miles of that, right? And I can ride 30 miles, but I can't ride 30 miles up and down really crazy rolling hills. So I want to prime the pump to get in the best shape of my life. So when I turn 50, I can say I'm in the best shape of my life, but it's going to take some time.
Yes.
As we say in the first 50.
There we go. Yes. Oh, Heather Cox is in the chat. She gave me some advice on sleep. So thank you, Heather.
Oh, good. What'd she say? What advice did she give?
I can't pronounce the words she said. She put a supplement there that I cannot pronounce, so you have to read it or whatever.
Okay, please share that out later.
We will, like
show notes.
Show notes. I have to cut and paste it.
Okay, one more. Who do you want to win the Super Bowl?
Mandy, go first.
And everyone in chat, I know what Olga's going to say.
Niners. I want the Niners to win.
I'm Chiefs fan. I'll go for the Chiefs.
Who do you want to win?
It's complicated. So grew up in San Francisco, do love the Niners, would love it for Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. I follow them and really like them, but I am a big Mahomes fan. So I was going to actually wear my Chiefs jersey today, but I didn't want to sway the crowd too much.
They put in the chat there. We got plenty. Most people are from the Bay Area, so we've got Team Taylor. Oh, I'm glad you said that, Taylor Swift. So that means you're a Chiefs fan there. So we've got majority, I would say, is Niners with some Chiefs fans in there too. So we'll see. Now I'm going to ask.
Have you seen the T-shirt that says "Go Taylor's boyfriend"?
Oh.
No, I love that. Oh, that's fun. That's a good one
there.
You know that guy.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good though. Good for the NFL. Good for them.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I'm going to flip my last question and just ask, based on when you started to freelance on your own, if you could go back to that date and give that Erika advice based on what you've learned so far, what advice would you give your newly solo freelance self?
Trust the process.
Okay. That's it. You know what?
But also, I do have a few follow-ups to that. There's the work you want to take and the work you have to take.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
be kind to yourself
Mhm.
with that. And let's see. Oh, and just get clear expectations from clients on the time commitment that they are asking you to do. Even if they call it out in an SOW and some sort of lump sum, say to them, "Oh, I understand this to mean 15 hours a week for the next 12 weeks." Say yes or no, because they'll put in 400 hours in an SOW and you're assuming it's spread over a certain amount of weeks. Their expectation may be different. So those are
Mm,
the
great,
lessons.
great.
Get it in
I will
writing. Get it
get it
in
in writing.
writing.
I will
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
turn it over to Mandy to close us out, and then we'll say our goodbye. So go ahead, Mandy.
I have an experiential question for you. And I can't believe I've never asked you this
Yeah.
before. So, what is the most fun you've ever had at an event? And it can be one you planned or one you attended, like a fam, or it could be just a family function. So, what's the most fun you ever had at an event? What elements were there? What made it fun? It doesn't have to be the most. This is the first
I
thing that comes to mind.
I did have the opportunity to go to the Met Gala, which
Ooh,
is pretty
yeah.
special. I'm not
Mm.
really even a fashion person, um, but just to see the inner workings of how that comes together, how it goes off on site, was there supporting some executives, and just fascinating to see, the Metropolitan Museum of Art turn into this event venue, and how they pulled that off, and just how they manage all of those guests. And it just was fascinating to me.
I love it.
Wow. What
Wow,
year did you go? I don't know if I knew that. That's cool.
2016.
nice.
Wow. Interesting.
Hmm.
I'm also curious, what's your
Yeah.
favorite Apple product?
Oh boy. I mean, probably default phone, because I mean, how do you not? But I do love my watch, and I love Apple TV Plus shows. Those are my
Oh,
three, probably.
good.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
some great Apple TV Plus.
How can we best support you, share how we best can connect you? And then I know you have a special presentation for Mandy too. So answer that and then go right to the special presentation.
Well, it's absolutely been an honor being on your show. I watch it all the time. It just
Mm.
Mandy is one of my swirl. That stands for smart women I really like, and would
Mm,
do anything for her and Amani. This is the first opportunity we've had to meet, and I've enjoyed it so much. I would just keep telling people, lift as you climb and mentor as many people as you can. It'll only come back to you in spades.
I love it. Okay, now for the special presentation. I can't wait.
My
Yeah.
gosh,
So
I'm
Mandy, I
nervous.
know that you I know that you love haikus. So this one is for you. It's called Remarkable
Oh,
Souls.
okay.
Inspirations bloom, remarkable souls ignite, flames of greatness soar.
Oh, I just got
All
the
right.
chills.
Yeah.
Erica, 575 rhyme scheme. That was a remarkable haiku. I'm high-fiving you from afar. That
Yeah.
was great. Thank
So
you.
I
You're
have to ask a
welcome. I know
question.
you love those. And yeah.
I
I'm
love
so glad
haikus.
Olga and Sina asked this question. So first of all, who did you go to the Met Gala with and what did you wear?
Oh, well, um, went with Apple leadership. I will leave it at that. And I wore a dress off the rack from Nordstrom, to believe it or not. So, you're buying these dresses for these types of events that are working events for you. So I always went with like high neckline, something easy to bend down in. So that was much more of my focus than designer, but I'm not a huge designer person. So Nordstrom suited me
Okay,
just fine.
Good old
beautiful.
Nordstrom. All the reliable Nordstrom. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to first give you a round of applause for a great interview and just a great conversation. A second round of applause for a tremendous haiku. And then we're going to have you go to the green room and wait for us. So just round of applause. Thank you very much for sharing your story, talking about your courage. We have the little, what is that? What's
Wait a
going
We're
on?
second.
Sierra,
Yeah, we
we're
can't
Sierra
not talk
twins.
about this.
Okay, go
So
on.
I sent this to Mandy for Christmas. I know this looks very princessy, so that's why it's just really important for me to say this. This is a company called the Tiara Effect, that you're too extraordinary to live an ordinary life. And so the tiaraeffect.com is their site. It's actually a gal in my neighborhood who has a wonderful story. and you put your crown on and you have a card here and you say motivations to yourself when you wear your tiara. It's a wonderful way to also share how remarkable you are.
It is so fun. For those of you listening to the podcast right now and you can't see, what Erica and I just did was we each put on some tiaras. And it is a tiara. So in the mail, I got a tiara. It was the most beautiful packaging I've ever seen. And then it gives you the affirmations that you read while you wear the tiara. So we're closing the show out wearing tiaras. So thank you, Erica. And follow the
We sure
tiara
are.
effect. It's really
The
cool.
tiara
Really
effect.
cool
Note that
gift.
Amani does not have a tiara on, but he's looking and he's in admiration of the two ladies who have the tiara on, but he does not have one on. So just want to put that out there for the listeners. Just thank you, Erica. Just your mindset and the stories and your courage is very inspiring. So I just appreciate you sharing your story and can't wait to get to know you better. Round of applause. Here we go. Thank you. We'll put you in the green room.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Love seeing you.
You're welcome. Okay, Mandy, tremendous show. Who do we have to look forward to next week?
We have we've never interviewed a person from HPN except for me, but we haven't interviewed me. We have Jeremy Shaw Wright, who is an HPN account executive. He's one of the vice presidents. He's hilarious. And he is coming to us from a road trip. He's driving across the country in his RV. So not only will he have a lot of great business stories to share, but he's going to have a lot of great on the road story. And I'm not sure if he'll be on the West Coast yet when we see him next Monday, but Jeremy Shaw Wright is who we have on the show.
Tremendous. Thanks to all of our viewers and people who are watching and commenting live. We really appreciate your engagement and sticking with us here. So thank you for that. Remember, if you subscribe, share with a friend, also leave us a rating and review on the platform that you're watching on. And with that, we'll say go Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And we'll say everyone, see you soon. Take care.
See you soon. Bye. Thank you.
Yes.